Welcome back to day 99 of the Daily Bread Bible Study. We are looking at the book of 1 Kings in the first two chapters. As we see the stories of 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel, 1 Kings, 2 Kings, just a reminder that forms kind of the narrative arc. So as we saw in 1 Samuel, we saw the rise of God's king. In 2 Samuel, we saw how God's king, King David, had a life full of successes and failures. Now, moving into 1 Kings, we'll see the kingdoms as they split. And in 2 Kings, we'll move into the disintegration of hope as the kingdoms are exiled. But in our part of 1 Kings, right, as King David is winding down, we see the prospering of King Solomon, discussion of the book of the Annals of the Kings, and then we will see the sins of Jeroboam and Rehoboam, and then ultimately end with stories around the prophet Elijah. So in 1 Kings 1:1, King David was old and advanced in years, and although they covered him with clothes, he could not keep warm. In the midst of King David's decline, those around him are planning what to do next. His oldest remaining son, Adonijah, envisions the crown will be his. In 1 Kings 1:7-8, he conferred with Joab, son of Zeruiah, and with the priest Abiathar, and they supported Adonijah. But the priest Zadok and Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, and the prophet Nathan and Shimei and Ray and David's own warriors did not side with Adonijah. Thus, two groups begin to form. The prophet Nathan has a plan for Bathsheba in 1 Kings 1:13. Go in at once to King David and say to him, did you not, my lord the king, swear to your servant, saying, your son Solomon shall succeed me as king, and he shall sit on my throne? Why then is Adonijah king? Then, while you are still there speaking with the king, I will come in after you and confirm your words. So in verse 29, the king swore, saying, as the Lord lives, who has saved me my life from every adversity, as I swore to you by the Lord, the God of Israel, your son Solomon shall succeed me as king, and he shall sit on my throne in my place. So I will do this day. King David sends his officials to consecrate Solomon as king. Upon being done, Adonijah and Joab hear a commotion. In 1 Kings 1:43, our Lord King David has made Solomon king. The king has sent with him the priest Zadok, the prophet Nathan, Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, and the Cherethites and the Pelethites, and they had him ride on the king's mule. And the priest Zadok and the prophet Nathan have anointed him king at Gihon, and they have gone up from there rejoicing, so that the city is in an uproar. This is the noise that you heard. Solomon now sits on the royal throne. So in 1 Kings 1:50, Adonijah, fearing Solomon, got up and went to grasp the horns of the altar. Solomon was informed, Adonijah is afraid of King Solomon. See, he has laid hold to the horns of the altar, saying, let King Solomon swear to me first that he will not kill his servant with the sword. So Solomon responded, if he proves to be a worthy man, not one of his hairs shall fall to the ground. But if wickedness is found in him, he shall die. Then King Solomon sent to have him brought down from the altar. He came to do obeisance to King Solomon, and Solomon said to him, go home. In 1 Kings 2, David then gives King Solomon instructions before he dies. He says, be strong and courageous, keep God's ways. Kill Joab for his sins of murdering Abner and Amasa during his time of peace. Deal loyally with Barzillai, who helped David while he was escaping from Absalom. Kill Shimei for all of his curses. In 1 Kings 2:10, then David slept with his ancestors and was buried in the city of David. The time that David reigned over Israel was 40 years. He reigned 77 years in Hebron and 33 years in Jerusalem. King Solomon establishes his reign by making appointments and fulfilling his requests made to his father, King David. Adonijah's request is seen as wickedness, so Solomon orders his death. The priest Abiathar's life is spared for the moment, quote, because you shared in all the hardships my father endured, in chapter 2, verse 26. Joab fled to the tent of the Lord and grasped the horns of the altar, because Joab believes he will be safe, just like Adonijah did, since no one would dare kill a person in the sight of the Lord. But King Solomon instructs the execution, saying the blood guilt is on Joab for the previous 2 murders, and that the Lord will absolve King Solomon of this action. So Joab is slain in the tent of the Lord. As commander, Solomon appoints Benaiah. As priest, Solomon chooses Zadok in place of Abiathar. Shimei is given orders by the king to remain in his own house in Jerusalem. In 1 Kings 2:38, and Shimei said to the king, the sentence is fair. As my lord the king has said, so will your servant do. So Shimei lived in Jerusalem many days. 3 years later, Shimei's slaves run away. He leaves Jerusalem to bring them back, breaking King Solomon's orders. And when King Solomon finds out, he has Shimei put to death. Anyways, the transition is now to King Solomon, and we will continue in this discussion coming up next time.